My friends, forget everything the mainstream media told you this morning about negotiations in the Middle East. What is happening in the waters and skies of the Persian Gulf at this very millisecond is not a diplomatic exchange of barbs. It's the cold, calculated mathematical annihilation of an empire of terror. The United States Central Command CENTCOM has just taken off the diplomatic gloves. We are witnessing the execution of the operation that I am naming here for our community as the Steel Pack. What you are about to see are not just isolated airstrikes, it's the strangling of the regime's jugular. They tried to collect the toll of chaos from the whole world, but what they got in return was a true logistical eclipse. Pay attention. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps spent decades building an infrastructure, $1 billion infrastructure in the south of the country. Their plan was to dominate the Strait of Hormuz, but on the 6th consecutive night of American operations, the strike package changed. The gloves are off, and the target is no longer just the speedboat or the coastal radar. The target now is the artery through which the regime's lifeblood flows. And to understand the lethality of this attack and the hierarchy of this steel pack, we need to look to the sky and break down the CENTCOM strike package. But first, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a like on the video because it takes a lot of work to make it. Yes, my friends, we have the Maestro, the sledgehammer, and the eyes. Nobody is talking about this on television, but this is how you win a modern war. Let's start with the Maestro, the F-35 stealth fighter. It's not just a fighter jet, it's a flying supercomputer, the great architect of the orchestra of hell. Operating in absolute stealth, it doesn't need to come down for close combat. The F-35 hovers invisible above the theater of operations, absorbing every radio signal, every emission, every heat signature, every radar pulse from the enemy. It processes this data and distributes the targets in real time. It coordinates the drones, guides the ships, and points the knife at the enemy's throat. And then the Maestro triggers the bomb. The F-15E Strike Eagle and F-18 Super Hornet fighters are launched directly from the aircraft carrier's deck. If the F-35 is the brain, these fighters are the unquestionable brute force. On the 6th night of attacks, the sledgehammer's target was Rosmozgan province. Look at the level of surgical precision. They didn't just drop bombs in the desert, they carried out the precise destruction of 6 road rail bridges. The Guerriere Bridge on the Bandar Abbas Kamir route and 2 colossal bridges on the Kurdistan Road. The vital bridges near Latadam, Kachar and the village of Morohom. The control tower at the port of Chabahar was pulverized for the 3rd consecutive time, and this time reports indicate total destruction. Bandar Abbas is Iran's port hub. Everything the regime uses to oppress the Middle East, the missiles, the fuel, the heavy weaponry of the Revolutionary Guard that goes to its terrorist groups. It flows through these coastal and rail corridors that connect the coast to the interior, all the way to Tehran. When American fighter jets and warships destroyed those bridges, they didn't just blow up concrete. They imposed a total logistical siege without having to put a single marine boot on Iranian soil and without having to lay a single naval mine. If you
precisar plantar uma única mina naval.
cut the supply lines, you cut the Revolutionary Guard's ability to fight. You cut their ability to eat. It's fighter pilot level briefing. You cripple resupply. The Iranian generals who were waiting with convoys full of AK-47 rifles and heavy ammunition are getting nothing but thin air. They built the supply line. And the United States simply brought their delete key in the form of 500-pound guided bombs. Iran is experiencing the ultimate ghosting, and who provides the perfect vision for this annihilation? The eyes of the Steel Pack, the unmanned aerial vehicles. We're talking about the formidable MQ-9 Reaper flying silently above. But the real technological revolution is the use of the CSAS, the Collaborative Combat Aircraft. Formidable stealth drones like the Andrew Fury and the Shield AI X-Bat. The X-Bat is perfect for this coastal mission. It has exceptional stealth qualities. It's powered by a jet engine and can loiter in enemy airspace for endless hours. These drones have created a real invisible web over the Strait of Hormuz. The Andrew Fury, for example, doesn't just film, it bites. Recent tests have shown this drone firing complex missiles like the AIM-120. And for Centicon, replacing that with a Hellfire missile and sending the artificial intelligence to hunt surface targets is an even simpler step. These drones cover huge stretches of ocean, ensuring that the naval blockade imposed doesn't depend only on the hulls of American ships, but on a canopy of relentless steel coming from the sky. But the Navy wasn't left out, and the ultimate show of force was one of the most spectacular things of this century. President Trump revealed information that would blow any military analyst's mind. Iran, in pure desperation over the loss of its infrastructure, launched a massive barrage of 111 ballistic missiles at the start of the week, directly against the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and against the American allies in the Gulf. Do you know what the result was? Well, if you watch my videos, you already know. But if you don't, I'll tell you now. 111 perfect interceptions, 100% kill rate. The supremacy of the aircraft carrier strike group proved to be a true floating iron dome in the Persian Gulf. The computing power of the combat system, Aegis, tracked, calculated, and obliterated each of the 111 threats before they could scratch the paint of the American ships or fall into residential neighborhoods. Iran sees its missile stockpile shrink until it can fire only a dozen a day. Meanwhile, the American Navy keeps more than 50,000 service members in the Middle East in a state of full lethal readiness, vigilant and prepared. That number is not a bluff. Pay attention here. It's the backbone of an invasion force ready if provoked. And that's why the American siege had to escalate and go after the regime's financial oxygen, the infamous Shadow Fleet. On Wednesday, patience ran out. The naval blockade was reinstated with lethal force. The oil tanker MT Bell, a gigantic crude oil transport ship operating under the flag of Curaçao, tried to challenge the United States Navy. It ignored multiple radio warnings, forced its engines, and headed straight for Kark Island, which is the main export terminal for the oil that funds Iranian terrorism. The American response was instant, brutal, and surgical. Without hesitation, United States aircraft, most likely F-18 Super Hornet fighters or heavy attack helicopters like the MH-60 Seahawk, lined up the target and fired AGM-114 Hellfire missiles. But they didn't sink the ship to cause an environmental disaster. They aimed directly into the oil tanker's exhaust funnel. A sniper shot made by a supersonic missile that melted the engines and instantly disabled the vessel. That was an explicit and bloody message sent to every mercenary captain, to every front operator working for Mohammed Hussein Salami. Samani is the man identified by the United States Department of State as the central operator of Iran's clandestine fleet, moving money and oil through the United Arab Emirates, Singapore, Hong Kong, and the Marshall Islands to buy illicit weapons for the Revolutionary Guard. The message from the Hellfire missile was simple. Try to break the blockade and you'll lose your ship in flames. But how does Iran coordinate all of this? How does a sanctioned and isolated country manage to aim missiles and try to bypass blockades? The answer lies in the Eastern connection that no one in the mainstream media wants to investigate thoroughly. Intelligence has confirmed that China is acting in the shadows, providing electronic eyes for the Ayatollahs. Chinese companies with extensively documented ties to the People's Liberation Army of China. Companies like Meiser Vision, and Jingang Technology were caught marketing active geospatial intelligence about the positioning and movement of American forces in the Middle East. Now you might ask me, but Estevo, for Timo's sake, why don't the United States just blow up those satellites? That's a question I'd also like an answer to. More than that, my friends, the United States Economic and Security Review Commission has issued confirmation that the Chinese satellite navigation system Beidou was the backbone used by Iran to try to guide direct attacks throughout the region. Beidou is Beijing's GPS system. China says one thing at the UN podiums, crying and talking about peace and diplomacy. But behind the scenes, it provides the precision targeting for Iran to pull the trigger and wipe out American soldiers and civilians. In Qatar, in Kuwait, in Bahrain, in the United Arab Emirates, and even in Israel. And the massive cyber attack recently revealed proves Beijing's audacity. China hacked and stole about 220 million files of American voters during and after the 2020 election cycle. While Iran attacks the Middle East, China tries to erode electoral integrity and data security from within. And so, my friends, we need to do real strategic analysis, 4D chess. What did Iran really want with all this? Their ultimate goal, their desired end state, was to achieve unrestricted legal, military, and operational control of the Strait of Hormuz as a permanent post-war condition. They wanted to impose a permanent toll on 20% of the world's energy supply. Imagine trillions of dollars in leverage over every nation on Earth that imports oil. All of this guaranteed by daily missile blackmail from the Revolutionary Guard and fleets of armed speedboats. Iran breaking the ceasefire by attacking commercial ships wasn't a miscalculation by some clueless general. It was a deliberate test. They were testing Washington's resolve. They wanted to see if the United States would turn a blind eye to preserve diplomacy, but they ran into a wall of steel. They found an American administration with a backbone, ready to use the military to protect international routes and systematically crush proxy armies. CENTCOM sent a clear message. There's a new sheriff in town, and the Revolutionary Guard will not control the world's energy supply. And have you noticed how the mainstream media tries to downplay and hide this level of real shock? They sell the idea that the world is already lost and that we should surrender to China, Iran, Russia, and even North Korea. They work 24 hours a day to silence those who analyze the game of war by the raw rules of reality and not by fake diplomatic narratives. But we don't buy those narratives, do we? We are a community of elite analysts, and we break through this blockade. And it's exactly to shove our strength in this system's face that I need your tactical support right now. Pay attention. I am running, or rather we are running, for the eBest award in the Influencer of Influencers category. Yes, my friends, your vote there is not just a click. It's the undeniable proof of the weight and authority of our community. The link is in the description in the first pinned comment. Go there quickly. In 30 seconds, leave your vote as a direct message of strength to the system and immediately turn your eyes back to the board. And we climbed from 40th place, and today we're in the top 10 in 5th place thanks to your vote. There are supporters of Iran, supporters of China, supporters of Russia there. They spend 24 hours on TV and the internet saying that the Communist Party is like Santa Claus, bringing a great gift to the world, and that you should accept this gift. That's the narrative. Look at that. Shall we move on? I'm counting on your vote, because chess never stops. And the global tectonic plates are moving aggressively. So let's go to the global summary of 2026 in Ukraine. President Zelensky shocked the military community by firing his defense minister Mario Fedorov. We're talking about the 35-year-old genius who designed the entire Ukrainian drone warfare program, the architect who helped isolate Crimea and managed to sink 90 ships from the enemy fleet in the Sea of Azov in a single week. The official justification is that he and General Syrskyi couldn't work together. And when an administration suffers internal rifts and lets go of the brilliant mind behind its tactical drone program in the middle of a war of attrition, it raises huge red flags about the stability of command in Kiev. Protests erupted and internal unrest is increasing. To find out who among our elite really delved into this analysis of the naval blockade in the Gulf, all the way to Beijing's machinations, leave your verdict in the comments. Our 2 keywords for today to lock into the algorithm that we understand what regime paralyses are: steel pack and logistic eclipse. Go down to the comments now, type both of them, and declare your informed stance. I repeat, steel pack and logistic eclipse. And pay close attention to the supreme lesson of this siege. Whoever doesn't control their own narrative will inevitably become a hostage to someone else's narrative. Today, the most valuable currency in the world is attention. The greatest pain of an elite entrepreneur is being the best at what they do and still remaining invisible. Are you the best in this analog world? Do you have an extraordinary business? But the algorithm only rewards dances and empty memes, you think. 15 years ago on television and radio, I learned that authority requires a war strategy. Today, every business is a media business. Look at Simed and Havan stores. They tripled their sales by becoming content creators. Your identity cannot be outsourced. The leader needs to put himself out there. The era of recording with your phone any way you want is over. The digital market demands real professionalism. And if you want to break out of your bubble, be recognized in your field, and scale your business by operating with the same lethal method that gets me over 50 million views per month, all monetized in dollars. It's time to take action. It's time to break out of your bubble. On August 16th, I'll be holding an in-person immersion here in my professional studio with my team. I will personally help you build unshakable authority, but I'm strict with the numbers. There are only 10 seats. When the 10th person sits down, the steel door closes and that's it. The QR code is on the screen. The secure link is in the description and in the first pinned comment. I will personally teach you, with my 15 years of experience, how to break through this barrier that keeps you from being seen by the world. Secure your spot and immediately bulletproof your communication. And if you're already tired of wasting time on Netflix, spending an hour just to find a good series or movie, by the way, there's a great series called Tehran showing right now that depicts Mossad operations inside Iran. It's really interesting, okay? We created a channel with tips on series and movies, with fantastic curation so you can just click and watch without regrets, without woke culture, without whining. Enjoy it with your family. The link is in the description, pinned comment, and the card that appears in the video. Now subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and like the video, because it takes work to make blind shield your mind. I'm Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.